Atlantic shores turned sinister, 3 days of terrifying secrets revealed by an alien vessel. Kate stood by her kitchen window, the soft hum of a boiling kettle cutting through the thick silence of night. Atlantic shores, once welcoming and serene, now felt suffocating, as if the town itself held its breath. She wiped her tired eyes, thinking of her 2 kids upstairs, their dreams untouched by the darkness creeping into their lives. But tonight, something changed. The ocean roared like a beast, the waves crashing against the shore as if warning her of impending doom. She shivered, a chill biting through the cozy warmth of her home. As she looked out, the water churned ominously, twisting and turning like a living creature. Suddenly, with a flash of lightning, a dark vessel rose from the depths, pressing against the sky in grotesque silhouette. Panic coursed through her, a vessel shrouded in shadows, glimmering with an alien glow. Heart racing, she clutched the counter, feeling the vibration of the world's equilibrium slipping away. Just then, the lights flickered, then went out. Kate gasped, plunged into darkness. A crushing silence followed, only broken by the distant sound of her children's soft snores. She pulled out her phone, its screen illuminating the kitchen like a beacon of hope. The eerie calm outside was disrupted by distant whispers and rumors. Neighbors had gone missing. It was happening, a fear she had felt brewing under the surface of their idyllic town. What was it hiding? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The lights flickered back to life, but a sinister unease gripped her. As she stepped toward the window again, she could see the menacing outline of the vessel in the distance, lightning illuminating it just long enough for her to catch a glimpse, a twist of metal and dark forms moving in and out of sight. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to get her children and flee, but where? The next day, whispers echoed through the diner. Did you hear? Morris, the postman, never returned home. And Alice, she just vanished. The patrons' murmurs were laced with dread, an infection spreading through their once charmed community. When Kate reported it to the police, their dismissal made her feel small, like a ghost in her own life. The sense of isolation crept in, wrapping around her like a noose. Her gaze shifted to her neighbor, Mr. Lewis, the town's beloved school principal. But a coldness gripped her heart when she learned he was entangled in something darker, a web of secret organizations steeped in terror. The fabric of trust unraveled, each face she had thought she knew took on a ghastly shape. Right then, she knew. She had to confront this evil herself. As night descended, reality twisted, morphing her once comforting home into a labyrinth of impending nightmares. The shadows grew bolder, clawing at her sanity. And just when she thought she could flee to the safety of her children, a blood-curdling scream sliced through the night, a cry from the upstairs. Time froze. Kate bolted for the door, dread coursing through her veins. Whatever was out there, waiting, it was in her home now, and as she reached for the handle, a flash of lightning revealed the monstrous silhouette of the vessel rising again from the depths, dragging all hope down into the black abyss. Kate's heart thundered in her chest as she reached for the doorknob, her fingers trembling. The scream echoed in her ears, a chilling reminder that the nightmare was not just outside. It was here. With an urgency that sent her adrenaline surging, she flung the door open and raced upstairs, her feet pounding against the wooden steps. "Mom!" A muffled whimper floated down the hall, laced with panic. It was Emily. Kate's throat tightened. She burst into the bedroom, eyes scanning the dark. The moonlight spilled in through the window, illuminating the bed, a tangled mess of sheets where both kids had slept. "Emily? Lucas?" She called, her voice shaking. A flicker of movement drew her gaze. Behind the curtains, a figure lurked, a shadow almost formed but not quite. Just as she approached, the figure dissolved into thin air, leaving only an unsettling silence in its wake. "Mom!" The cry came again, this time more desperate. Kate pivoted and dashed to Lucas's room. He lay there, wide awake, eyes glazed with terror. "Mommy, it's in the closet!" he cried, pointing with trembling fingers. In the pre-dawn darkness, the closet door stood ajar, shadows swirling like tendrils. The air turned icy, and an inexplicable dread washed over her. She took a breath, forcing herself to be brave. "It's okay, honey. I'm right here." As she approached the closet, the wall seemed to vibrate, a low growl resonating from the void inside. With one swift motion, Kate yanked the door open, ready to confront whatever was hiding within. But it was empty. Only darkness and the chilling scent of the sea clung to the fabric of her resolve. Then, a sudden crash from downstairs shattered her focus. Adrenaline surged through her, she turned on her heel and dashed back to the stairway. The vessel loomed outside the window, partially immersed in the waves, glowing ominously, pulsating like a heartbeat. She felt its energy wrap around her, threatening to pull her into the depths. The noise from below grew louder, a scraping sound against the kitchen floor, the tap of something dragging through the shadows. Kate's pulse quickened as horror flooded her senses. Whatever was out there had breached her sanctuary. "Get in the closet, Lucas," she whispered, urgency inflating her voice, and he scampered to obey, his small frame trembling. Taking a deep breath, Kate crept down the stairs, her bare feet silent against the cold wood. The air felt thick, charged with a malevolent presence. She reached the bottom step, squinting into the kitchen where shadows twisted and turned. Her breath hitched when she saw it. A transparent figure, elongated and ghostly, slid over the countertop, leaving trails of ice in its wake. It turned its eyeless gaze toward her, a mouth stretching into a grin that ripped across its face, revealing an abyss of darkness. Now frozen in fear, Kate's mind raced. How could something otherworldly invade her home? What had it come for? In the back of her mind, she felt the weight of the town's secrets pressing down like chains around her heart. "Emily, go back." A voice rang out from the darkness, slicing through her thoughts. Was it a trick? Was this the creature or another voice altogether? She took a step back, terrified, when the sound of running footsteps echoed from upstairs. It was Emily, wild-eyed and frantic. "Mom! I saw it. It's coming." "No!" A surge of panic shot through her. She had to protect them. She had to find a way out. Just then, the seasoned voice of Mr. Lewis whispered from the shadows. "You can't escape the truth or its heavy price." The world around her blurred, a kaleidoscope of despair and dread. The shadows thickened, wrapping around her like a shroud, and she had one thought, one desperate question echoing in her mind. What did they want? As the figure advanced, she felt the walls closing in, the secrets of Atlantic shores unraveling, and the tragic, horrific truth hovering just beyond reach. What was rising from the deep, and who among them would pay the ultimate price for their buried sins? Kate's breath hitched as the figure in the kitchen shifted, twisting its form like a smoke tendril, dancing with malice. The icy tendrils of fear wrapped tighter around her throat, and she forced herself to stand firm. She couldn't afford to fall apart now, not with Emily and Lucas depending on her. "Stay back. I'm warning you," she shouted, hoping her trembling voice would carry authority. But the shadow merely laughed, a sound that sent chills spiraling down her spine. The creature glided closer, spreading the cold air further, making her skin crawl. It paused, as if savoring her fear, before extending an arm that morphed into a claw, 6 long fingers forming and twisting unnaturally as it beckoned her forward. "Mom!" Lucas's quiet whimper echoed from the closet, but Kate couldn't look away, entranced by the pull of the creature's gaze. This was not a nightmare, this was something sinister, something that had always lingered, long before they moved to this cursed town. "Kate! It was Emily again, running down the stairs, reckless and oblivious to the danger. You have to listen to me. I saw it. It was in the bathroom. With frantic energy, Kate tore her eyes away from the horror before her, racing toward Emily. Get back, Emily. We need to get out of here. Now. She grabbed Emily's arm, pulling her closer. The girl's wide eyes darted around, searching for danger, but all Kate could see was the smile of dark hunger painted on that shadow's face. Just then, the ground shook. The walls vibrated, groaning as if the very house was displeased. It's coming. The ship. We have to hurry. Emily shouted, fear breaking through her confusion. Mommy, please, Lucas whimpered from his hideout, his tiny voice barely reaching her through the chaos. Kate's heart wrenched. She couldn't leave him. Stay right there. I'm coming. She called back, pushing past her fear and spinning back toward the kitchen. But the creature had retreated just out of sight, blending with the darkness, waiting. With the kids in mind, Kate's survival instinct kicked in. She dashed to the living room, scanning for anything that could protect them, a table leg or a heavy book. In the corner, a ceramic vase caught her eye, its smooth surface deceptively harmless. She grabbed it, heart racing, the shadows stirred, swirling ominously as if aware of her moves. Kate, it was Mr. Lewis's voice again, this time clearer and more insistent. You have to know your past or it will consume you whole. Get away from me. She shouted at the echo of his words, her mind racing with questions. What did he mean? Was he the one behind all this? What truth could possibly justify this abyss of terror? Yet the more she fought, the more entangled she became in the web of her own history. The very ground she once thought safe was a breeding ground for sinister secrets. She felt the weight of the town's buried past pressing down on her like a foreboding shadow. Just then, a loud crash came from the kitchen, followed by an eerie silence. The air thickened as her heart raced, anticipation turning her stomach. Get in the closet. She screamed at Emily, who complied without hesitation. Kate whipped back toward the kitchen, clutching the vase like a lifeline. The dark entity was back, much closer this time, its grin spreading wider, devious intention simmering in its depths. Do you want to know the price you'll pay? It hissed. The words dripped with venom, and Kate's hands shook so violently, she almost dropped the vase. Leave us alone. She shouted, charging forward, ready to fight. But the moment was interrupted by another shudder of the house, and she realized, in that heart-stopping moment, that their sanctuary was crumbling both literally and figuratively. Mom, it's coming. Lucas squeaked, emerging from the safety of the closet, eyes wide with terror. And then there was another noise. Somewhere behind the wall, an answer echoed back, a deep, resonating growl that wasn't from the creature, the sound of something awakening. What else was hidden beneath their home, waiting for them to unearth the truth? In the chilling silence, Kate braced herself, the cloaked figure now moving in synchrony with her racing pulse. What if the secrets of Atlantic shores reached much deeper than she ever imagined? As the growl reverberated through the walls, Kate's heart thundered in her chest. She exchanged a frantic glance with Emily, whose eyes were wide with terror, fear radiating from her small frame. Lucas gripped Kate's leg, his tiny fingers digging into her jeans as if tethering her to sanity. The shadows danced around them, twisting like phantoms celebrating their impending doom. She could feel the presence of the creature lurking, waiting for the powerful pulse of fear to take hold. We have to move. She hissed, urging the kids with a fierce whisper. But where? Every instinct told her to run out the front door, but looming darkness threatened to swallow the exit hole. The creature's laughter echoed in her mind, matching the shuddering walls, each cackle promising something terrible awaiting them if they chose the wrong path. Mommy, I'm scared. Lucas's voice trembled. A hard knot formed in her throat. She couldn't let fear win. Stay close. She commanded, wrestling to hold her own panic at bay. then she caught sight of the stairs leading to the upstairs. Could it be safer? "We'll go upstairs," she shouted, her words breaking the heavy silence. "Quick!" They raced for the staircase, Kate leading the way, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The air thickened as she climbed, squeezing past the growing shadows, each step feeling heavier as if the house itself was trying to pull them back. "Don't look back," she warned, feeling the urge to glance over her shoulder. It was a whispered temptation, coils of dread wrapping around her neck again. They reached the landing, breathless. "Now what?" Emily gasped. "Find a room, barricade the door," Kate commanded, scanning the darkened hallway lined with closed doors. A distant thump resonated, sending sheer terror through their hearts. It was close. Too close. She led them into the first room on their left, a bedroom that felt stranger than usual, the air charged. Old pictures hung crookedly on the walls, their subjects peering out as if waiting for the other shoe to drop. "Make sure the door is locked," Kate insisted, pushing the dresser against the door. Lucas stood there wide-eyed, almost mesmerized, as if he could see something she couldn't. "Mom, look," he squeaked, pointing towards the cracked window. The moon's light spilled in, illuminating crawling shadows that twisted and reached like hands searching for something lost. Kate felt a cold shiver slither down her spine. Something was coming. The growls from behind the wall grew louder, resonating with a primal fury that threatened to split the house in two. The shadows outside began to swirl violently, cascading through the room with echoes of haunting whispers. "Do you hear that?" Emily leaned closer, her breath hitched in an anxious gasp. "What are they saying?" With every pulse of sound, Kate felt the walls closing in, smothering her. "I don't know, but we need to keep quiet." She felt the vase in her hand, slick with sweat as she gripped it tighter, ready for whatever may come. Just when she thought they had found a moment of silence, the door rattled violently, a force smashing into it as if the shadows themselves wanted to eat their way in. Kate steeled herself, adrenaline flooding her senses as she stood ready to protect her children at all costs. But as the rattling continued, she could make out whispers through the door. Confused syllables snaked around her heart, a scuttling darkness clawing for entry. "You cannot hide from the truth," Kate had said, echoing Mr. Lewis's voice once more, distorted but impossible to ignore. "You are tied to this place." Her breath caught. What did they want from her? What truth? With dread pooling in her stomach, she realized too late that running wouldn't spare them from the past. As the shadows pushed harder against the door, her thoughts raced. If they didn't uncover the truth soon, they might never escape the dark cravings of Atlantic shores. As the door began to bend beneath the assault, Kate surged with determination, turning to face her children. "We fight together." But the question loomed in the silence: what if fighting wouldn't be enough? As Lucas's trembling hand slipped into hers, she couldn't shake the feeling that their fate might not be theirs to control any longer. The dresser creaked ominously as Kate pushed it against the door, the wood groaning in protest as if it too sensed the malevolent force on the other side. Emily's eyes darted around the room, scanning for something they could use. "What do we do?" she whispered, panic clawing at her voice. "Hush!" Kate pressed a finger to her lips, the air electric with tension. "We need to be quiet." She felt the vibrations of the door shaking under the intensity of the assault. "Listen to me, whatever it is wants us scared. Don't show it any fear." Lucas squeezed her hand tighter, his little knuckles going white. "I'm not scared, Mom," he lied, though his trembling body told a different story. "I'm brave." "Of course you are," she whispered back, forcing a smile that felt like it could crack. The growl intensified, a hellish chorus of sound that seemed to echo not just in the walls but through her very bones. The shadows outside melted like a thick fog, tendrils creeping under the door, curling and recoiling at the wood like snakes testing their strength. An icy dread settled over Kate, and for a moment, she felt a strange connection, a whisper in her mind that said maybe this creature wasn't after them at all, but something much more buried. "Mom, what if we give it what it wants?" Emily suggested, fear-streaked eyes widening. What if it's trying to tell us something? Letting it in isn't an option. Kate snapped, her patience thinning. She couldn't let herself entertain thoughts that could lead them astray. As if on cue, the door shuddered again, a sharp crack splitting through the air that sent a shiver ripping down her spine. The whispers grew louder, clawing their way into her ears. "Let us in, Kate, let the past come alive." "Shut up!" she screamed, her voice echoing off the walls. She threw the vase against the door, shattering it into 1,000 glimmering shards, a desperate measure to drown out the noise. Silence weighed down as the shadows recoiled. But it wasn't a lasting silence. The shadows recoiled and the enraged growl erupted anew, the force behind it now infused with a terrifying rage. "Mom!" Lucas cried, pointing toward the room's corner, where shadows writhed and coiled like a living creature. Kate's heart sank as an impossibly tall figure began to emerge. The outline danced in the flickering moonlight briefly before slumping slightly, revealing unmistakable features that twisted her stomach. "Look!" he whimpered. Kate turned slowly, dread pooling deeper. The resemblance was uncanny. Before she could process the implications, the exit door exploded inward with a bone-crunching sound, flinging the dresser aside like a twig. The shadow surged forward, a mass of darkness and regret, binding the air with an unnatural chill. "Get away from them!" Kate shouted, her heart racing. But the figure lingered, eyes glinting in a silvery sheen that reflected everything she feared. "You can't escape the truth," Kate it rasped, its voice a discordant echo of the past she had fought to forget. With each pulse of its ancient presence, dread unfurled inside her. It was more than a creature, it was a piece of her life entwined in the horrors of Atlantic shores, a darkness she had sealed away for too long. What had she brought her children into? The shadows began to swirl tighter, reaching toward her as memories she thought buried erupted like fire. Faces flashed through her mind, familiar yet distorted, their eyes pleading as they melted into the darkness. As panic surged, she realized in that fateful moment, the creature wasn't there to kill them, it was there to awaken the truths she had long denied. "Mom!" yelled Emily, shaking Kate from her trance. She turned just in time to see the shadows coiling around Lucas, his horrified expression slicing through her. "Lucas!" With instinctual rage, she lunged, gripping her son just as the door slammed shut behind them, pinning the entity to the ground. It wailed, a banshee-esque cry shattering the night as the room plunged into blackness. What would it take to stop this nightmare? The truth seemed dreadful and heavy. Something they may not survive revealing. As the darkness enfolded them, Kate knew one thing: whatever came next would change everything forever. "Hold on, kids. We're not done fighting yet." But deep inside, she questioned whether the darkest truths held the power to set them free, or would they seal their doom instead? The room turned icy, the air thick with screams muffled beneath layers of shadow. Kate's heart raced, frantically drumming in her chest as she clutched Lucas to her side. His small body trembled against her, confusion and fear radiating from him like heat from a flame. Emily stood frozen, eyes wide, the silhouette of their pursuer looming nearby, a dark monolith rooted in their worst fears. The figure twisted, elongating, its form distorting into grotesque shapes. Its face flickered in and out of reality, a haunting collage of the people Kate had lost, friends, family, all reconciled within the grief she had spent her life trying to escape. The shadows writhed around them, pulsating with a life of their own, closing in tighter, suffocating. "Stay close!" Kate shouted, her voice cracking with intensity. As if spurred on by her words, the entity lunged forward, whispering her name again, this time softer yet dripping with venom. "Kate, you left us. But we can bring you home." "No." The word erupted from her lips, more a reflex than a thought. She couldn't let it reel her in. "You're not real. You're just a nightmare." "Am I?" It sneered, a chilling cackle echoing eerily within the room, reverberating off the walls like a dark symphony. "Home is where we thrive, where we linger in your mind. The whispers rose in cadence, a chorus of despair flooding her senses. Kate squeezed her eyes shut, hoping to shut the memories out. Faces pushed through, her mother's sad smile, her brother's bright eyes dulled by the grief they had shared after the accident. But the more she fought, the stronger the shadows grew, embracing her like cold arms yearning for warmth. "Mom!" Emily screamed, her voice sharp and piercing through the despair. "What do we do?" "Focus on me." Kate reached for Emily, but the shadows surged, pulling her back. She felt Lucas slipping, the force of darkness dragging him towards that looming figure. The cries filled her head like static. Fear waged war against her will. "Don't let it take you. Hold on to each other." Just as Kate wrested her focus back, she caught a glimpse of Emily raising her arms in defiance, channeling all her small but fierce spirit. "Leave us alone," she yelled, as if sheer will could dispel the horror surrounding them. The creature faltered, the darkness wavering, but then it roared, sending a pulse of chilling wind crashing over them. Shadows exploded into an onslaught, swirling frantically, whipping through the room with malicious intent, and disorienting Kate. Lucas's voice cracked as he gasped, "Mom! I can't. Don't. Trust me. I won't let it take you." She surged forward as the dark figure lunged for her son, stretching skeletal fingers toward him, reaching like a predator toward its prey. With a guttural scream fueled by pure adrenaline, Kate leapt, snatching Lucas just as the figure closed in. They stumbled backward, crashing into a wall coated in vibrant memories of family warmth. Jumbled photos, soft blankets of nostalgia turned to nightmares. The shadows roared back in fury, slamming against the walls, trembling the very foundation of the room. Kate's breath hitched. A deadly silence cloaked them. The eldritch entity paused, its sharpened gaze now focused squarely on Kate. "What will it take, Kate?" it rasped. "To face the truth? Or flee into madness? They never wanted you to know." The air smelled like burnt dreams and anguish as Kate's blood ran cold. Why wouldn't it just strike? What was it waiting for? She felt Emily's small fingers digging into her arm, their collective breaths now shallow and frantic. That's when the answer landed squarely in her mind, a horrifying truth, one obscured by pain, threatening to wade through the veil between them. "Stop!" she shouted, as an instinct began forming, a desperate plan. "If you want the truth, you'll have to take it from me." Was that enough to stop it? Or had she just signed their death warrants? The darkness surged again, the shadows creeping closer, tightening around them like a noose. Kate braced herself, feeling the walls of reality fraying, and she knew, no matter what horror awaited her, it was time to confront everything she had hidden away. "What's done in the dark must come to light," she whispered, suddenly filled with a strange, electric dread, and just as her thoughts converged, the entity lunged toward them, faster than she could react. But was it seeking the truth, or something far worse? The world spun, and time lost its meaning as the dark figure surged like a shadow given life. It was no longer just a thing of nightmares, it had become a reality that threatened to envelop them whole. Kate's heart thundered as Lucas squirmed in her arms, his small body rigid with fear. "Mom!" he cried, the desperation in his voice cutting through the chaos. But Kate couldn't focus. She could hear the whispers, the mournful echoes of the past clawing at her mind, demanding attention. The atmosphere thickened, and the walls seemed to stretch away, warping the space around them. "You want the truth?" The entity's voice twisted into a sinister melody. "Then open your heart, Kate. Feel the pain you've buried." With every word, the shadows coiled tighter, squeezing out her strength. "No!" she shouted, fists clenched. "You won't break me." But as she spoke, a wave of memories crashed over her like a rising tide. Her mother's laughter, shattered by her sudden absence, her brother, lost under the weight of grief. The pain of guilt echoed, an incessant drumbeat reminding her of all that she had lost. "Breathe!" Emily shouted suddenly, grounding Kate in the present. Remember what we are fighting for. Kate met her daughter's fierce eyes amidst the encroaching darkness. They shared a moment of clarity, a flicker of hope beneath the oppressive gloom. Together, she urged, their hands locking tightly, and she felt the warmth of their connection amidst the cold horror surrounding them. The entity paused, confusion flickering across its warped visage, as if Kate's bond with her children was a light cutting through its darkness. "That won't save you," it hissed, its figure shifting and expanding. The shadows bulged around them, threatening to consume their unity. "You will still face the truth one way or another." "Not if I can help it," Kate roared, newfound determination surging within her. "You want us to confront the past? Then let us do it together." Thrashing against the suffocating grip of the shadows, she pulled Emily closer as Lucas whimpered in terror. She felt the shadows writhe and the air crackled with tension. The entity unleashed a howl that resonated deep in the marrow of her bones, shaking the very core of her being. Then, without warning, the entity lunged, and a blinding flash erupted, illuminating the room in a stark white. They all froze. For a moment, everyone held their breath, trapped between dimensions. Then the reality warped again, the shadows pulling back like a curtain. The flood of memories rushed back, overwhelming Kate like waves crashing against a rocky shore. Faces flickered in and out, her mother, twisted in grief, her brother, clawing for help. "Help me!" the memories begged. "You left us." Kate covered her ears, desperate. She feared she could drown in it, the sorrow, the guilt, all washing over her, nearly pulling her under. "No! You don't get to control me!" she screamed, summoning every ounce of strength left within her. Emily gripped her tighter, breathless but unwavering. "Fight, Mom! We can do it!" It was Lucas's frightened face that catapulted her resolve, innocence intertwined with vulnerability, a reminder of everything that mattered. "I won't succumb to this darkness!" Kate shouted, the words exploding from her throat like a shot echoing in the vastness. Then she felt a surge of energy rising from deep within, fueled not just by fear but by the love for her children. She turned to the shadowy figure, meeting its swirling gaze with fierce confrontation. "You want the truth? You'll have to face us first." The shadows rippled, wavering as Kate and her children pushed back, their hands joined like a beacon of light against the consuming dark. But as the shadows began to quiver, another chilling laughter erupted from the entity. "Ah, but there are more truths than you know," it rasped, the shadows thrumming with anticipation. "You think this is just about facing the past?" Suddenly, the air crackled ominously around them, and for an instant, Kate felt a frigid chill run down her spine, whispering an unspeakable dread. "Do you dare uncover the fear I have hidden?" The entity's form began to shift, revealing glimpses of horrifying truths long buried, and the room reverberated with the promise of revelations that felt even darker than the shadows themselves. The walls shimmered with images, old wounds that Kate had buried deep. What waited beyond the darkness? What unspeakable truths lay in wait? Questions hung thick in the air like smoke. The next moment was crucial, and they braced themselves for whatever was about to break free from the shadows. Kate drew in a shaky breath, her heart thundering louder with fear, uncertainty, and the fight to remain who they were. Would facing it bring the answers they needed, or unleash a terror worse than they could imagine? The shadows writhed around them, coiling and darting like serpents eager to ensnare their prey. Each pulse seemed to resonate with Kate's heartbeat, quickening the dread that throbbed in her temples. Emily's grip tightened on her hand, but the young girl's strength wavered, fear painting her otherwise fierce expression. "Don't look away, Mom," Emily urged, her voice barely above a whisper, as if sound might summon the demons lurking in the corners of their existence. Kate turned her gaze toward the entity, sensing its appetite for her despair. The flickering walls morphed into uncanny reflections of her past, moments of laughter shared with her family splintered into scenes of tragedy. She saw her brother, not as the playful boy she remembered, but as a hollow figure, a painful reminder of the night that shattered her life. "Face it," the entity taunted, its dark laughter curling around their ears like smoke. Your guilt, your grief, it's your chains. You can't escape them. What will you do without your precious memories? The room quaked, darkened shadows converging toward them, eager to feed on their fear. The air thickened, pressing down on her chest like a weight she couldn't shake. Kate felt the familiar panic clawing at her throat. Memories of that fateful night surged forward, jumbled fragments of screams, the echo of her mother's last breath hanging in the air. Please, no. She gasped. I want to relive this. Focus on the light. Emily yelled, desperation slipping into her voice. Mom, fight. Lucas trembled in her arms, his tiny face a mask of terror. Mommy, he whimpered, looking up at her with wide eyes that spoke of innocence and confusion. It was enough to ignite the embers of her resolve. No. Kate shouted, dispelling the shadows creeping into her mind. I refuse to let you control me. With that declaration, a surge of energy cascaded through her, fueling her determination. Guided by the warmth of her children, she could feel the shadows falter. The entity let out a screech, a sound of pure rage that made the foundations of reality tremble. You think this is love? You think you can shield yourself behind it? You're a fool. Memory after painful memory washed over her like a relentless tide. Kate's eyes narrowed as she pushed against the wave. You're right. She screamed. I was a fool. But I'm not alone anymore. The shadows recoiled, hesitant for the first time. There was strength in numbers, she realized. Not just her own love for her children, but the warmth exchanged between them filled the room, defying the darkness. They formed a living barrier against the swirling chaos. The entity shrieked again, this time mingling with laughter, its form warping grotesquely. You truly believe your love can withstand the truth? Your past will unfold, and a new darkness will consume you. Then, abruptly, the shadows exploded outward. The air filled with memories she had hidden, each image exploding into a million fragments. She saw faces twisted with sorrow, words unspoken that echoed loud as thunder. Her mother's voice rang crystal clear, why didn't you save us, Kate? No. She cried, stumbling backward as the weight of the memories crashed down. Each piercing question launched her further into despair, dragging her to the ground. Emily looked on, a fierce guardian amid the chaos, pulling Kate back from the edge. Mom! We have to hold on. Emily's voice cut through the cacophony, a lifeline amidst the chaos. Kate caught hold of it, holding on tightly, but the shadows thickened again, and this time they bore down with renewed strength. Unfamiliar whispers slid through Kate's mind, and every secret she had buried gripped her heart like vice. You think you can hide from the truth? It hissed. As darkness swallowed the light, Kate's scream echoed. She felt a fracture develop, a thin line between madness and clarity. What other secrets had she forgotten? What horrors awaited in the depths of her own psyche? The shadows twisted, revealing glimpses of a latent truth, a horror so profound it made Kate shudder. What had she hidden? What unspeakable darkness lay beyond the edges of her consciousness? The question hung in the air as silence washed over them, heavy and foreboding. Kate's mind raced with the fear of knowledge. Could she bear to uncover everything? Would it break her, or would it finally set them free? She grasped for Emily's hand, as the shadows spiraled, revealing more of their seething secrets. The horizon of her memories loomed large and perilous. And below it, darkness beckoned. Light flickered back to life, fragile yet tenacious, as the shadows hesitated at the edge of their domain. Kate's heart thumped wildly as she fought to keep her grip on Emily. The darkness might retreat, but not without a fight. Mom, look! Emily shouted, pointing toward the writhing mass. The shadows shuddered, shadows reflected the flickering light like a bad mirror, twisting familiar faces into grotesque parodies. As Kate peered closer, she realized each morphed visage was someone from her past, her brother, her childhood friend, her mother. Lifeless eyes stared back at her, each one weighed down by unspoken accusations. "Stop it!" Kate yelled, squeezing her eyes shut, wishing for the memories to fade. "You're not real." Her refusal sparked a moment of clarity through the choking veil. "Not real?" The entity hissed, its voice echoing like thunder. "These are your fragments. The puzzle pieces of your soul waiting to be collected." Suddenly, the room convulsed violently, knocking Kate to her knees. Lucas wailed, and Emily went to her brother, her fingers trembling. "Hold on, Mom. It's all in your head. You just have to remember the truth." With each painful memory unveiled, the shadows surged, each one a laceration against her sanity. Anguish flowed, tainting the air. "What do you want from me?" Kate cried, the walls beginning to pulsate like a heartbeat. "Your acceptance," it whispered, sinister and throaty. "Your acceptance of who you truly are, the monster you hide within." A chill splintered down Kate's spine as her mind raced. She felt it, a darkness, ancient and powerful, waiting in the shadows of her heart. Eyes opening wide, the weight of her past bore down on her like a tidal wave threatening to drown her. What kind of monster was she hiding? "Mom!" Emily cried, urgency lacing her voice. "Remember how we fought together when things got tough? Fight! You have to fight for us." In that instant, a sliver of light breached the darkness. Kate remembered the laughter. The warmth of shared moments, hugs, and budding dreams. Emily's fierce spirit fueled her resolve, a reminder of the strength that love can forge in the face of despair. "No!" she shouted, pushing against the shadows, her voice echoing like a battle cry. "You won't take them from me. I will not kneel to fear." A searing heat rushed through her, and she surged to her feet, fueled by raw instinct. The shadows recoiled, but they didn't disappear. A violent wind raked through the room, tossing memories like leaves caught in a storm. The shadows howled, twisting violently, trying to claw their way back to her mind. "You cannot escape, you can't outrun yourself." She felt the dark tendrils reaching for her, infiltrating her thoughts and desires, but she fought back. "You're only memories. Memories can't hurt me." With each chant, each affirmation, glimpses of hidden truths began to surface, fragments of her painful reality unearthing memories of joy buried deep. But the shadows weren't finished with their game. Images flickered, haunting moments of terror battled with brief scenes of love, her brother laughing, a promise made to stay safe. Balance was shifting, but with it came the fear of what lurked beneath. "What's worse than your past?" The entity challenged, its whisper a biting wind. "The secrets yet to come, what you fail to remember." The shadows twisted once more, and from its depths, she saw glimpses of the future, the inevitable shadows of danger stretching towards her children. Images of a looming storm, an angry tide threatening everything she held dear. Panic knotted in her chest. "Mom!" Emily shouted again, anchoring Kate to the present. "You're scaring Lucas. We have to get out of here." "But how?" The darkness around them pulsed hungrily, determined not to let them escape. As the shadows swelled, shifting their shapes into grotesque figures, Kate felt a chilling realization settle within her. What hidden truths were worth facing if the price could mean losing her children? As dread filled her, she took a steadying breath. Time was running out. In this moment of indecision, she had to choose, to unveil the relentless secrets of her past and risk confronting more horror, or bury them deeper and protect her children from a foreboding future. The shadows loomed closer again, an inevitable tide threatening to pull them down into the abyss. Kate's heart raced as she clutched her children, fingers intertwined in a desperate grip. The choice echoed through her mind, and just as she felt the darkness creeping in, something unthinkable happened. The shadowy figures paused. Hovering, they pulsed as one, waiting with bated breath. "What are you really afraid of?" The question hung in the air, whispering doubt, as Kate and her children stared into the heart of darkness, the path ahead twisting into uncertainty. Kate's heart hammered in her chest as she faced the swirling shadows, the eyes of the past and the future locked together in a haunting gaze. She felt as if the entire world had shifted, teetering on the edge of oblivion. "You want the truth?" she yelled, her voice echoing against the walls. "Then I'll tell you." With fervor igniting within her, she began to speak about all the pain she had buried. "I lost my mother. I lost my brother. I fled away from guilt, from memories too heavy to bear." Each revelation cut through the suffocating dark like a knife, and she felt her children huddling closer. "I thought that by closing my heart I could shield them from my fear. I thought that running would protect them." The shadows writhed, their movements jerky, almost unsure. With every word, Kate grew stronger, brandishing her truth like a shield. "But what I didn't understand is that love, real love, thrives in honesty. It's not about forgetting the pain, but facing it." The entity let out a screech, drawing back as if her words burned it. Its swirling form flickered uncertainly. "Your truths shatter the illusion, but can they withstand the consequences?" "No!" shouted Emily, her eyes fierce. "They'll set our family free." Kate squeezed her children's hands tighter, feeling their strength. She could see the shadows falter, roughly twisting as if in protest. Each confession they embraced seemed to unearth the chains the darkness had wound around their souls. Love and courage surged through her veins. "Together!" she exclaimed. "We face this darkness together." As Kate spoke, the shadows shrank and quivered at her resolve. Reality wavered around them. Memories flooded her mind, not just grief and loss, but laughter, joy, moments spent with family that made up the fabric of who she was. She was more than her fear. She was love. "Look!" Kate shouted, turning to where a patch of light had begun to glow. Its warmth was palpable. "There's light at the end of all this darkness. We can't be driven by fear anymore. We grasp onto our truths and let love guide us home." With a united front, they pushed into the encroaching shadows. The shadows shrieked, but their voices blended and muffled under the vibrations of Kate's determination. With each step forward, she felt the air grow lighter, the space filling with possibilities rather than threats. In that moment, Kate sensed the culmination of her family's strength, an unbreakable bond forged in hardship and love. Their grip tightened around one another, and the shadows recoiled, revealing their twisted forms, desperate to retreat. "Your past does not define you. And you don't get to claim my future." Kate's lips curled into a defiant smile, one fueled by the love she had fought to protect. The darkness surged, and for an instant, everything seemed to converge at the apex of chaos, pulse racing against collapse. But Kate was ready, empowered with the truth. In one final surge of strength, they burst forward, together, the radiance swallowing them whole. The shadows screamed as they dissolved like smoke beneath the burning light. Cold tendrils of fear heated, melting away, leaving only warmth and safety behind. Kate opened her eyes to a new dawn, the sunlight spilling through the windows of her home. The room felt different, the echo of sorrow replaced with peace. She drew her children into her arms, holding them tightly. "We did it," she whispered, voice trembling. "Mommy." Lucas murmured, eyes still wide in wonder and clarity. "Are we safe?" "Yes, sweetheart," Kate replied, brushing his hair back, her heart swelling with relief. "For the first time I think we truly are." And as they embraced, the weight of their burdens lifted. They had faced the darkness, woven through the treacherous truths, and emerged united. No more whispers of despair hovered in the air, only the promise of healing and the eternal light of love remained. In the quiet of their home, filled with flickers of sunlight and hope, they understood. Atlantic shores held its secrets, but not one of them could extinguish the power of a family willing to fight together. As they sat, nestled close, Kate realized that facing her past would not be the end of nightmares. It would be the beginning of a new chapter, one not marked by fear, but by the vibrant strength of a loving family. "Let us make a pact," she said softly, looking into her children's eyes, which sparkled with newfound bravery. "Okay." Emily beamed, her innocence shining brightly. "Whatever happens," Lucas piped up, "we'll always face it together." "Yes," Kate smiled, "together." And with that, a sense of warmth enveloped them, the true essence of Atlantic shores now revealed in light, love, and promise. But deep inside, Kate felt an urge, a powerful need to share their story, to ensure others knew the light they had fought to find. She paused and thought about the residents of Atlantic shores, whispers of secrets needing to be confronted. The realization struck hard: it wasn't just her battle. It was everyone's. Together, she echoed again, letting it resonate in her heart, and with that, she turned to her phone, the dark chapter behind them, ready to send out a message of strength and resilience to the community that had once felt so isolating. This was their time, their fight, and she would ensure no one felt alone again. As she hovered over the button to share their story, she knew this was just the beginning. Now, as you read their tale, I urge you, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear Kate's incredible journey. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and ensure more souls find the light amidst the darkness. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. What secrets did you find in your own past that made you stronger? This is the moment to show your support. Let us thrive in unity together.